On December 2024, Apple became the world's first company to surpass a market capitalization of approximately $3.5 trillion today. Apple's market value is greater than the GDP of 198 countries, including India. Apple, which was founded in 1976, reached a milestone of $1 trillion in 2018. Just 2 years later, in August 2020, it crossed the $2 trillion mark, and within a short period, it reached $3.5 trillion. What's astonishing is that Apple's market value is now lower than the GDP of only 5 countries: USA, China, Japan, Germany, and the UK. But you might be wondering, how did Apple's value grow so fast? How did this 48-year-old company dominate the world today? Why have Apple products become a status symbol among people? Stay with us until the end of the video to find out. 70% of the world's highest earners prefer to own Apple products. The craze for Apple has reached a point where, the moment a new iPhone is launched, massive crowds and long queues outside stores have become a common sight. Many people buy these products not just for necessity, but as a symbol of social status. No other company in the world has managed to create a luxury image quite like Apple. Apple's journey to this level was not easy. Over its 48-year history, the company has faced many ups and downs. Let's take you back to the early days of this exciting journey. Back then, computers were as big as 6 refrigerators. 2 friends, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, didn't like this because they wanted to create a computer that people could easily keep in their homes or offices. Working from Jobs' garage, they built such a computer, and in 1976, Apple I was born. But here's something surprising. When Apple I was launched in 1976, it didn't have a monitor or even a keyboard. The duo then worked hard on their next computer and launched Apple II in 1978. With just 4 kilobytes of RAM, Apple II revolutionized the computer industry. In just 2 years, Apple's sales skyrocketed from $7 million to $117 million. However, by 1983, Steve Wozniak started losing interest in computers and left the company. Then Jobs appointed John Sculley as Apple's president. But this decision backfired. Sculley and Jobs had a major conflict, and in 1985, Apple's board sided with Sculley, forcing Jobs out of the company. It is said that most board members were businessmen focused on immediate profits, whereas Jobs was a visionary who believed in long-term quality. Since Jobs' products were expensive, they didn't sell well, which led to his opposition within the company, eventually resulting in his ousting. Sculley took full control of Apple, but Jobs didn't stop there. He decided to start something new and eventually founded Next Software. Until 1990, Apple was generating huge profits, reaching its peak revenue. However, after that, its market share started declining, and the company began to struggle. By 1997, Apple's board realized that only Steve Jobs could bring the company back to its former glory. They decided to bring him back, and Apple also acquired Next. This turned out to be a game changer, and from that point on, Apple never looked back. As soon as Jobs returned, he cancelled several ongoing projects and focused on a new vision: think different. Under this project, Apple redefined its product strategy, boosting employee confidence. Then, in 1998, Apple launched the iMac, which became a market sensation. This increased Apple's sales, bringing the company back to profitability. Soon after, Apple launched the iBook in 1999 and became a market leader. In 2001, the first iPod was introduced, and in 2007, Apple revolutionized the mobile industry with the launch of the first iPhone. Brian Merchant, in his book The One Device, The Secret History of the iPhone, revealed that only Steve Jobs knew about the idea of the iPhone, no one else. Jobs called this initiative Project Purple. Even the team members working on it didn't know what the final product would be. After 3 years of hard work, Jobs launched the world's first iPhone in San Francisco. In its first year, 14 million iPhones were sold. Then in 2010, Apple introduced the iPad, a tablet computer. Back then, Nokia and BlackBerry were dominating the market, but Apple never let them overshadow its innovations. Today, Apple's stock value has increased by 5,800% since 2007. However, something unfortunate happened in 2011. Steve Jobs was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and the same year he stepped down as Apple's CEO but remained the head of the board. As his illness worsened, on October 5, 2011, at the age of 56, he passed away. Before his passing, Jobs appointed Tim Cook as Apple's CEO, a role he continues to hold today. Under Cook's leadership, Apple expanded globally, entering markets in Europe, Asia, and beyond. As Apple continued to rise, competition became fierce. Samsung emerged as its main rival in the smartphone market, leading to multiple legal battles over patent violations. However, Apple remained focused on innovation. In 2015, Apple launched the Apple Watch. In 2016, it introduced AirPods. The company also ventured into video streaming and music services. In 2018, it became the first company to surpass a $1 trillion market capitalization. According to reports, by December 2024, Apple's market value reached approximately $3.5 trillion. But here's something to think about. How has Apple, despite making only a few product types, managed to outpace other companies so rapidly? What makes Apple products stand out from the competition? The truth is, Apple never competes with existing products. It believes in its own innovations. For example, its hardware, applications, and operating system are all developed in-house. Unlike other companies that operate with multiple committees, Apple has a centralized working committee that makes final decisions from design to production. Steve Jobs embedded design excellence into Apple's DNA, which is evident in every product today. The company has hundreds of specialized teams, with dozens working on a single feature of a product. Here's an example of Apple's precision. In 2009, Apple's camera technology scientist, Paul Hubel, was developing portrait mode for the iPhone. At that time, only expensive single-lens cameras could capture such photos. To perfect portrait mode, Apple's engineers studied some of the world's best portrait photographs and developed advanced algorithms. They assigned 40 dedicated teams to work on a dual-lens camera, which was then introduced in the iPhone 7 Plus, revolutionizing smartphone photography. Apple doesn't always invent new technologies from scratch. It takes existing technologies and enhances them through innovation. For instance, Apple didn't invent MP3 players, but it made them better with easy downloading and an intuitive user experience. Similarly, Apple didn't invent smartphones, but its innovations transformed the industry. Apple's CEO, Tim Cook, has identified India as a key market. The company has opened flagship stores in Delhi and Mumbai, where its monthly revenue now averages between $16 to $17 million. According to Cook, opening retail stores in India is part of Apple's market expansion strategy. Since launching these stores, the company has seen double-digit growth in revenue. Steve Jobs blended fashion with technology to create a brand identity unlike any other, positioning Apple as a luxury brand. The credit for where Apple stands today goes entirely to Jobs. How did you find this fascinating journey of Apple? Let us know in the comments. Also, if you'd like to see a case study of any other company, mention it in the comments section. And if you're new to this channel, don't forget to hit the bell icon and subscribe.